The Beyond the Flags podcast returns with a new episode featuring a promising driver in the Friesen Performance IMCA Northern SportMods. He's out of Vail, Arizona, Boddie Parker, talking about his journey from his start in racing, his family's legacy in racing, and his incredible 2024 season so far. That's coming up next here on Beyond the Flags podcast. Well, joining me now on the Beyond the Flags podcast, Boddie Parker, driving the 115 Friesen Performance IMCA Northern Sport Mod, representing Vail, Arizona. Boddie, really great to catch up with you again. We got a chance to meet each other at the showdown last November in an interesting sort of introduction, but nonetheless, it's always great to talk to you.
It's good to hear from you again, Ben. Yeah, it was cool to see you hit up my Uncle Nick and ask for my number. It's always cool. This is actually my first real interview, so it's cool. I guess I'm making a little bit of an impact for the Parker family over here in Arizona Racing Modified.
Well, you're holding the fort down for the Parker name. You know, Nick is relocated to Chico, California, where he races 410 sprint cars full time, and you planted the flag and you're holding the territory really well.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Yeah, no, this season has been going pretty good, so just keep the ball rolling and just roll with the flow.
Well, I remember last November, I think it was the week before Thanksgiving. It was kind of a late deal that, hey, are you available for this week? And it's like, well, I've never been to Casa Grande before. I've been to Kokopah a lot. I went to Queen Creek at Arizona Speedway, but Casa Grande was like a place that I always wanted to go to. It just, things never worked out correctly to where everything aligned. I really liked that place because I had heard, from being the Pacific Northwest, lots of guys back in the day, almost 25 years ago, would go down there in January for, the early thaw, and would spend a lot of time there. Lots of great racing and a lot of good heritage and history at the Central Arizona Raceway.
Yeah, no, the track's been around for a pretty long time. I mean, way before even I was thought of, but I heard it's gone through its motions, I guess, kind of like every track. I hear stories that back in the day when late models were pretty heavy over here, we had Manzanita Speedway and you had Carl Trimmer and some of the Mr. Phillips and stuff like that. They were out here racing. I heard that Casa Grande was actually a fairly big track, even bigger than it is currently, and it hosted some pretty good shows, and I still feel like it does too. It's a good track for what we have in Arizona. Definitely would like to get around the country though and see some more places.
Well, and it's one of the success stories that a couple of seasons ago it was really brought back from the dead, which is kind of an uncommon thing we see in this day and age. We're seeing a little bit more of it of some facilities reopening, but for that place to be dormant was a big loss for that area and for Arizona racing. But then for it to come back was just such a great thing. Yeah,
no, definitely. It's the more tracks I feel like that you can hit within a good 3-4 hour radius. I mean, you're going to develop better drivers, better racing all around. I mean, the more seat time you can get. I know for a little bit, Casa Grande kind of went to more, I guess, it catered to non-wing sprint cars, wing sprint cars, stuff like that. And then I don't know who kind of started the whole IMCA deal big down here. But right now, currently, Brad Whitfield, he's the one running Kokopah, Sholo, and Casa Grande. But big IMCA, I mean, I would say for those Northern Sport Mods, we bring about the most. On an average night, we can average anywhere between, I like to say, 27 to some nights. I think my first race last year, we had 52 cars signed in. So it's definitely a booming class, booming sport down here, and it's nice.
Well, and that's what really threw me off is I had known, some of the drivers that had been there, with my time at the Superstition Showdown at the unfortunately defunct Arizona Speedway in Queen Creek. But and going to the IMCA TV Winter Nationals in Yuma for so many years. But then you get there and there's just so many guys that race there and this is no, shade at them, that they just race Casa Grande. And there's the Johnson brothers and yourself and just some people. It's like, wow, I've never seen these guys really race before. And this is cool. They've got a great pocket of talent at this place.
Yeah, for sure. Casa Grande, it brings the most. I try to get to Cocoa Paw every once in a while. I even go down to Vado Speedway Park. Royal Jones owns that place. I try to go down there in the summer during the off season for Casa Grande and Cocoa Paw. But yeah, for some reason, I don't know. I guess a bunch of people, they just have some people have old modified, some people have brand new stuff, and they are like religious to just race Casa Grande. I guess that's their comfort zone. I guess if you have a good setup, you know your gear, you know where your carburetor needs to be out. I mean, as long as you don't wreck anything, it's simple maintenance, and you kind of just get to sit around and wait for the next race, so it's not that much work.
Well, and I remember it was just one of those things, right, that there was just so many people, and I didn't get a chance to talk to everybody in the pits, and it just so happened to be a heat race, just running through the lineup, you know, this driver starting inside pole, and then I just remembered 115, Boddie Parker from Vail, Arizona, didn't think anything of it. Then I saw the car, I'm like, man, that number looks a lot like Nick Parker. Again, not correlating it, and I remember maybe like a month or so, maybe a couple months before that, I did a full in-depth interview with Nick, and he was telling me that he didn't start in sprint cars. He started in, you know, in a different path, and I'm like, wait a minute, and then I looked at the name, and then I think I sent him a text. I'm like, hey, is your one relative you were talking about? I think I said, was it your cousin? And he's like, no, that's my nephew. I'm like, okay, is he racing? He's like, yeah, and I think he was home too, Nick was, and I don't think he made it up for that weekend, but he was talking about coming up. I think because I said, hey, let's do an interview in the tower, that might have kept him holding the things down back home.
Yeah, he mentioned that to me. I guess you did shoot him a text, but yeah, the numbers look the exact same because we use the same sticker people, Dylan Jones and Jeremy Smith at TDR Concepts. They do all the same stickers, and when I just built this car early last year, I'm not super savvy with stickers, nor do I felt confident in myself to keep the same body panels on it for more than a couple nights. So I just went the simple route, just a nice 2-3 sponsors that help us out and my number, and I just told the guys down there to copy paste, change the color from orange to blue, and we'll run that for a little bit. But yeah, no, Nick, he was home for a little bit, and he texted me Friday, I think it was Thursday. I forgot the exact dates that we raced, and today I don't know if you got a chance to talk to Ben yet, but he's the announcer for me, like NARC stuff. He's like he's interested in kind of maybe getting a chit chat with you. You kind of click 2 and 2 together. And then I think with you texting him, he liked the morale, I guess, and decided to come out for the another 2 nights.
Yeah. I just remember if there was a booth cam in there, or if I had the guy that was announcing with me that weekend, Chris Steppen, that there would be testament of like, just one of those moments when you think out loud, and luckily the mic was off, and I'm like, wait a minute, like, you know, I know this guy. I kind of know this guy. So, yeah, and for you, how did that start? I mean, what was the beginning steps for you to get involved in racing?
Actually, I started out on 2 wheels. I was big into dirt bikes. Was actually got to go to one of the biggest national amateur nationals in Loretta Lynn's. Okay. Amateur nationals in Tennessee. And I was about, I think, 5 or 6 years old, and I was practicing out here at our local dirt bike track, and I ended up crashing on a jump and broke my femur and my growth plate at 5. So that was a pretty traumatic experience, I guess. And at the same time I was doing the dirt bikes was my Uncle Nick and my older uncle Thomas. They were doing dirt go-kart racing at our local track here, and they're starting to travel and stuff like that. So I think with my injury, it kind of spooked my parents, and then that correlated to, okay, let's sell the dirt bikes, let's still do motorsports, I guess. So then they bought me, I think, a hand-me-down go-kart, or it was one of Nick's old go-karts or something like that. They got it going for me, and I started turning laps at Tucson Kart Club. It's like 10 minutes down from our houses and stuff like that, and from there, just drove go-karts for a couple of years. Stepped away from the sport for a little bit, got back into dirt bikes when I was like a young teenager, and then just kept going through injuries. Like, I would say I spent my dad's, I think, like 40th birthday in the hospital with 2 popped lungs and a couple broken ribs and stuff from crashing. So,
holy cow.
Yeah, put the dirt bikes back down for a little bit. And actually one of our old, no, I shouldn't say old sponsors, but he's kind of let a couple of all of my family members, my dad and both my uncles drive mod lights for him. And nobody was filling them. He told us if he'd come pick it up, get it running good, that we could drive it, and started in the mod light there. And I think we raced only 5 races because it was right around that COVID time. It was late 2019, early 2020. Won my second race in that, and then COVID happened, and then racing shut down for me for a little bit, and then got the opportunity to actually move up to Manhattan, Kansas, and work for Chase Younghands while he was touring on the World of Outlaws and stuff like that. So got to learn a lot there, and did that for about 2 years. And then me and my dad kind of started talking about, like, hey, like, you still interested in racing? Like, you're older now, or we're both kind of in a good financial position, I guess, to like maybe put a decent, like, modified big car together. And said, yeah, dude, let's do this. So pulled the trigger, told Chase I'd step away, and got this modified for a pretty decent deal, and just starting to gain traction down here ourselves.
Oh, wow. That's a very interesting story. So the kart track, is that the same place that they, like, right around New Year's or so, they used to have a big race like the Holiday Classic, or am I thinking of a different Arizona track?
From my knowledge growing up, it was at a different Arizona track. It was up in Phoenix, AKA Speedway. But I think with that turning in, that is now actually, that AKA is now Adobe Mountain, where they race like micro sprints and stuff like that up here.
Okay.
So I do think for the past like 2 or 3 years, it has been the Holiday Classic at Tucson Car Club. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then mod lights for listeners, especially in the Pacific Northwest, that are not they're not familiar. They're like dwarf cars, same engine size as a dwarf car, just a different. It's basically a miniature modified versus like a old sedan or old coupe kind of car, like a dwarf car would have.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, pretty much a little bit of a mixture between a modified or, for East Coast listeners, I guess, like a big block modified. You're kind of sitting more in the center of the car, and yeah, they have 1,000cc cross rocket motors on a little 9-inch rear end and 3 links. And I tell you what, though, they boogie. They scare me more than driving a big modified or something like that.
Sure. And 2022, they were sanctioned by IMCA, and it's a class that on the West Coast they're trying to get going and everything, but man, like the Southeast, like Florida, they have the Sugar Bowl, and they're pretty big in Tennessee too, and they're starting to develop these pockets where Arkansas's got a great group, Texas, there's a lot there, Indiana's got some, but like Iowa, they're really starting to bring it in that part of the country too.
Yeah, I think it's a great class to get going in. I mean, I guess it's all racing. It takes a little bit of money to accumulate everything, but once you have everything, as long as you're not tearing bumpers or noses off every night, it's a pretty affordable class. That, and I feel like it teaches younger driver, even to older drivers, like so much car control, just because how short the wheelbase is, and you have just enough motor to be going fast, and you can really wad some stuff up if you miss your marks. But they're just so twitchy. I mean, they're just on a rack steering. There's no power steering or anything like that. So I guess you would call it assisted power steering. But you got to hustle those things, and they're on little. I think they're on 13 or 14-inch rims. So every little hole you hit, every little rut, that sprint car right rear just moseys right on over. You feel every inch of the racetrack. But they're fun, and I've seen some great races. And now these guys, they have good shocks on them, and you watch videos, they're in the dry slick, and they're 3-wheeling like a US MTS modified. But they're a good class. I'm glad to see them growing. I think it's definitely a good spot to start racing.
Well, and for you, let's talk about your first times wheeling a modified around. How much of an eye-opener was that? And with what you just told me with running the mod light, was it a simpler car to have a handle on, or was it still just a different breed of cat and still a beast?
A little bit different. It was more feeling in my butt, I guess. For a mod light, like I said, they do get up and they do go, and you can kind of tilt the left front or whatever. But nowadays, I mean, the technology and the way we're welding in these brackets, even for a 3-link modified, I mean, you can look at some pictures, and I mean, we're on 3-link 9-inch rear ends, and we have like 16, 17 inches of droop out of these things. So you can really feel the rear end modulate, and when it gets up on that term of the bar, you feel it transfer to the right front and on the left rear. So that was a little different getting used to that. And like I said, the mod lights were so twitchy, and this thing I went in turn one, and I almost turned too late thinking that it was going to turn on a dime. And these things, you kind of almost got to turn them like a non-wing sprint car at the flag stand. You got to wait. And the more I get to drive it, the more I'm learning to be able to read a racetrack and go, okay, do I need to lift at the flag stand and coast this thing in there like you're cruising to church on Sunday, or is it smooth enough with enough traction that I can drive it in there like a wing sprint car? So it's been a learning curve, but I definitely enjoy it a lot more than a mod light.
Well, let's talk about 2024 for you guys. 17 feature starts, 17 top 10s. That's pretty amazing. 11 top 5s, 3 victories to your credit, including February 9th at Central Arizona Raceway with the Arizona IMCA Tour, and entering last week in second in state points for Friesen Performance IMC Northern SportMods. I mean, you guys have just, and I feel like I watched you a lot this winter on IMCA TV. You guys, 3 wins, but it felt like you guys were in contention for maybe 4, 5, 6, 7 victories this year. And that's not to say that you're doing a bad job, by the way.
Thank you. No, I definitely feel like we've had some good luck mixed with the bad luck, I guess. Even at the showdown last year, or end of last year, I think it was the second night we were leading with, I think, 4 or 5 to go, and had some bad luck with like fuel lines, fuel trouble, fuel foam clogging our fuel system and stuff like that. So there was one that I think if that never happened, it would have been a heck of a race, or would have been 4 now. But this year so far, yeah, we've been clicking. Kind of took the winter off, decided not to race winter nationals down at Kossuth, and put a new body on it, and just really went through and tried to. I guess when we built the car, we were so anxious to race that I wouldn't say we cut corners, but there's some stuff that we're like, okay, this is okay for now, but eventually we'll get to it and fix it and make it kind of how I want it, or me and my dad want it, whatever you want to call it. And so finally got to do that during the winter between 2023 and 2024, and came out swinging, learned some things, and definitely feel like just the more seat time I can get, the more people I talk to, even talking to different drivers, different speed shops, stuff like that. You kind of can nitpick a little bit of data here and there, and twist it into your own concoction on your car.
Are you looking to find that adrenaline rush, but you can't because you're not at the racetrack? Well, check out the IMCA TV Replay subscription library to have access to thousands of hours of racing for just $24.99 a month. Relive all the moments of the Speedway Motors IMCA Super Nationals fueled by Casey's at Boone Speedway, the Harris Clash at Deer Creek Speedway in Spring Valley, Minnesota, the IMCA TV Winter Nationals at Kossuth Speedway in Somerton, Arizona, Florida's Clash on the Coast, and dozens of Speedway Motors IMCA weekly racing program racetracks from across the nation, as well as the IMCA TV Dirtcast podcast. Plus, 25% of that $24.99 monthly fee goes towards the Driver's Point Fund and is a great way to help out your local racers. In 2023, over $97,000 was paid out to IMCA drivers directly at over 50 racetracks across the country. Please note that live broadcasts are not part of the replay subscription. That's IMCA TV. IMCA TV, where America comes to watch racing. Well, I know the story that, of your number, right? Now it's kind of became a family number with Nick running. Well, actually, it's your number now. He's just running the straight 15, but for you and your family, the 115, triple digits, it's not very common to see in dirt track racing, but for you guys, it's kind of a nice homage, so to speak, of a guy that had a lot of modified success in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, I think even in Nick's interview, he mentioned Jeremy Payne. He been around my family and modified racing in this region of the country for a long time, and done some pretty incredible things just coming from a small town down here. And he always ran triple digits, and I think I just stuck with it because growing up, I ran 15 on dirt bikes and run 15 in go-karts and stuff like that. But then you go to these tracks where or national, your national racing. So there's already somebody that has more national points than you or is a local there. So he runs 15. So then you have to duct tape a 15 BP on the side of your car or something like that. So I think when Nick started traveling a little bit, he decided to come up with the 115 just because, like you said, it's very uncommon to run a triple digit number. So you usually didn't have any competition. I think he's only had to do it one time, put a letter or another number or something next to it. And I've yet to have to do anything like that. So me personally, I'm not going to switch to the 15 quite just yet. Maybe if I get a little bit better and a little bit more traveling experience and stuff like that and get my name out there, maybe I might. But I like it. It's something different. You don't see it a lot.
For sure. And just to note, it's a little one is the first digit. It's not one of those big ones like the Bakersfield guys have and then with little numbers inside it. It's all in a line together, but little one, big one, number 5.
Yep. Just subtle, almost from a distance. You couldn't even know that it is 115, but if you're looking at scoring and stuff like that and you get up close, you can see it's just like you said, just a little one and then a 1-5.
Yeah, super cool thing. For you, when you're not working on race cars or when you're not traveling around racing, what are some things that you try to do to, just to stay relaxed, stay focused, or just try and have fun?
Oh, here lately I haven't had a lot of that. I'm actually currently working part-time to try to keep up with the racing and full-time student with trying to race. But downtime, I would say, I've loved video games forever. Actually, I basically call Nick my brother. We basically grew up. We're so close. I mean, even being uncle and nephew and stuff like that. We're only 6 years apart. So me and him grew up pretty much together, and he was always into playing like Halo and stuff like that. And I guess I obtained that same liking to like video games and stuff like that. So like tonight, got home about an hour ago. No, not half an hour ago, and I'm gonna talk to you, and then probably end my night playing a little bit like iRacing or something like that, and then hit the hay. So video games, hanging out with my girlfriend. We'll try to go to the movies or just go on a walk, clear the head, get some fresh air, just try to take a deep breath and just enjoy life.
Well, that's great that you mentioned iRacing, because I know a lot of sprint car guys do it, and other drivers too do it as well. For you, does that make you feel like it may not be the same thing as sitting in a race car, but does it feel close enough to a simulation with the way they've developed that program for you to keep your skills sharp and your reaction time or your wheel input somewhat similar?
Yeah, definitely. I think iRacing, the way they've been able to recreate like track deformation, and now even they have where if you run say like 100 lapper somewhere, you have to think about your tires too because they'll fall off hard. And yeah, it's nice. Like you said, it's definitely nowhere near the real thing. If you wreck something or wreck yourself, there's a reset button. Where in real life, that's not the case. But definitely, I think it just, for me, I wouldn't even say wheel input or anything like that. It just makes me, it helps me see things happen before they even happen. Like you can kind of get in iRacing, it is so close still to the real thing that you can start seeing somebody start banging wheels in front of you, and you can kind of start to predict, okay, they're going to go high, so I'm going to go low. Stuff like that, kind of just, and you start to get a sense of, okay, like clear slider here, you can kind of get that same feeling, and I think it just helps your racecraft a lot, being able to put your car in places and not run people dirty either.
No doubt. And as far as things to do, so Vail, it's just outside of it's north of Tucson, right? Or is it south?
South.
Okay, so south of Tucson. But I mean, that whole general area, it's pretty popular. Like lots of people come during the wintertime and they snowbird, they hang out. For people that have never been that part of the country, what are some really cool things to do or see?
I would say the biggest thing that living in the Midwest for a while taught me was mountains. Gotta love the mountains out here. I mean, anywhere around here, there's great hiking trails, mountain bike trails. We have a mountain called Mount Lemon here You can drive up it. They have like a ski lodge up there for the rare times it does snow it here. But they have like a lift that you can take and just like kind of see the scenery. Other things to do. I guess we're like any other we're getting bigger city. We have like a Top Golf, stuff like that. But I would definitely say like the nature side, we have very cool like desert museums to see like animals, the history of the town developing. Like it was the Wild Wild West back in the day here. So there's cowboys dueling. I mean, farmers, stuff like that. I love it down here. I say I want to move, but I say I want to move to be in a more racing capital. But really, I probably will just end up back here because you can't beat it. I mean, if you can withstand the 100-degree weather for 2-3 months that we get, I mean, you can't beat being able to go outside in November in shorts and a t-shirt sometimes.
Sure.
So.
Sure. Yeah. I want to. I mean, there's tons of history in that part, which is it's just super cool. And like I'm a historian guy. Like I think Mexican War just north of Tucson. Let's see, it would have been Philip St. George Cook, I think, with the U.S. Cavalry, led the what was called the Mormon Battalion from Santa Fe to Los Angeles. They ran into a loose group of bulls that actually charged them. So it was like called the Battle of Bull Run before the Civil War Battle of Bull Run. And I think Tucson, a lot of people don't know this, but I think Tucson was the capital of the Confederate territory of Arizona too. I could be wrong there, but there was, Pacheco Pass, Pacheco Peak. That's not too far from you guys. That's about halfway between Tucson and Casa Grande. So that was one of the most western battles between Union and Confederate forces.
Yeah, no, that marks the halfway mark, and there is a bunch of like war memorabilia and stuff like that around here. I mean, you can just. I know there's like we have a mountain called A Mountain where they have like lettered the side of the mountain with colored rock, and you can go through there, and there's like old caves where people would like basically like live or camp for a little bit as they're passing through, and these old like stone like mud huts that they made just to get shelter like on the side of these mountains. And it's just crazy to think that like none of the town was there, so it was just rural desert. And I mean, like I said, the best thing to do around here is to go hiking and stuff like that. But still, Mother Nature lets you know. I mean, you never go hiking when there's monsoons, or you never get near like a wash because flash floods, and you got to worry about rattlesnakes and mountain lions and stuff like that. So it amazes me that it gives me a respect for the people back then, that they lived when there was no easy life here.
Sure. And we can't leave this off. Tombstone. Tombstone's south of Tucson as well.
Yeah, I want to say it. If I Googled it from my house right now, it's a 25-minute drive to Tombstone. So yeah, you can go down there, see it, and then we have a couple other cool places like Karchner's Caverns, about like an hour and a half more south from, or I'd say more southeast from me a little bit, and that's like a cool. I don't even know what you'd call it, like underground like cave system that runs for miles, and there's all these like crystallized structures and rocks and stuff like that. So there's some cool stuff to see around here. I definitely know why the snowbirds cater down here.
Yeah, no doubt. That's super cool. Boddie, I really appreciate your time, and as we kind of wrap things up here, I do want to give you the platform that I know that family is a big part of you and your racing operation, as well as you got a great group of sponsors that help the 115 out, and I just want to give you a chance to give them all a shout out.
I appreciate it. Yeah, definitely my whole family, mom, dad, girlfriend, uncles, all the family that comes out. Parker Automotive is our family shop that my grandpa started, and my dad's slowly kind of starting to take over, same with my uncle and stuff like that. So my grandpa helps me out as much as he can. Desert Valley Landscaping, I mentioned them earlier. Dylan Jones, they own that. They help me out as much as they possibly can, along with him racing too. Jeremy Smith, TDR Concepts, they do all my sticker work. UPR, Tim at UPR, he's a guy for me to go to get fire suits, helmets, tear-offs, gloves, anything like that. And then really just a bunch of, or Paul Banghart too. I can't forget Paul. He's a lifesaver. He owns a local speed shop and part shop down here in Tucson called GAT Racing. He helps me with about anything. I could call him probably right now and he'd answer for me, and I could quiz him about a shock or a spring and he'd give me the honest truth. So can't thank Paul Banghart enough. And really just besides those people, it dwindles down to just family, friends, and other friends. Like I got Nathan Caldwell and his wife. They bought me some tires and stuff. Perry McMillan, he's a local sprint car driver around here that has known my family forever. He helps out whenever he can. Longtime friend of actually Nick's longtime friend Jason Puglisi. His family, he's actually on a little racing hiatus right now, so he's been letting me use his enclosed trailer for the season, so I'm not bringing an open trailer to the track. And rather than that, I can't think of too many more people. Anything helps, I can say that for sure, but I couldn't do it without all these people behind me.
Well, it's been great to chat with you again, and great to hear your journey of and where it's going to take you. I'm super excited to see how it unfolds and see how this remarkable 2024 season results in. It looks like it's going to be a promising year for you guys.
Yes, sir. That's the plan. We're just going to keep rolling and hopefully just keep the consistency, keep the car in one piece, keep all of us happy, and we'll be good.
Well, race fans, that does it for this interview. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope that you continue to enjoy these upcoming interviews. We appreciate it if you would like and subscribe wherever you're listening, whether it's on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, wherever it's at. Give us a like and give us a subscription so that we can deliver more of these great interviews to you for your listening pleasure. In the meantime, wherever we're at, wherever you're listening, we hope you have a great rest of your day and a pleasant evening, and we will see you soon here at Highside Racing Promotions. Before we let everybody go, here's the upcoming schedule on IMCA TV of live pay-per-view events. Clay County Fair Speedway in Spencer, Iowa will have a doubleheader with Tuesday, May 7th and Wednesday, May 8th. Thursday, May 9th, going to be a busy night of action in the state of Iowa as Bloomfield Speedway gets underway, as well as Kossuth County Speedway in Algona. And also on the card, Park Jefferson International Speedway in Jefferson, South Dakota. Friday night, we'll kick off Davenport Speedway in Iowa, Mandan, North Dakota's Dakota Speedway, Murray County Speedway in Slayton, Minnesota, Stewart International Speedway in Stewart, Iowa, Black Hills Speedway in Rapid City, South Dakota, and Saturday night, Crystal Motor Speedway in Michigan, Iowa's Boone Speedway, also in Iowa, Makokata Speedway and Independence Motor Speedway, Eagle Raceway in Nebraska, Petaluma Speedway in California, Grays Harbor Raceway in Elma, Washington, Harlan, Iowa's Shelby County Speedway, Williston Basin Speedway in North Dakota, Southern Oklahoma Speedway in Ardmore, Oklahoma, Grayson County Speedway in Bells, Texas, Electric City Speedway in Great Falls, Montana, Cottage Grove Speedway in Oregon, Bakersfield Speedway in California, also in California, Marysville Raceway. Sunday will be full of action, featuring Interstate Speedway in Jefferson, South Dakota, Dubuque Fairgrounds Speedway in Iowa, and Nodak Speedway in Minot, North Dakota. And for more information, to check up the updated schedule and how to order your pay-per-view events, log on to imca.tv. That's imca.tv, where America comes to watch racing.